Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I am your host Utkarsh Shukla and let me introduce you to my guest Theo. Theo, thank you so much for accepting our invite.
Thank you, Utkarsh, for connecting with me and inviting me to your podcast. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you so much Theo for your kind words. So can you please introduce yourself to our audience, like who you are, what work you do? So who is Theo according to you or how you describe Theo?
According to me, okay. So I'm Theodora Bogiou, and according to me, I'm a curious individual. And what I want everybody to do, so this is what I teach. I teach everybody to become curious about who they are, so they can discover their true mission and their true self. And the only way to discover ourselves is through curiosity. So this is what I'm teaching that's the off the record title, right? And thank you for this question.
That's really great. So let's have a deep dive into it. So how you generally work and what are your day-to-day activities in order to do so?
Mhm. So initially, I have a language school in Greece, and we have students from Greece and from other countries in our online classes. But I have a school, an on-site school as well. And I started training other teachers in whatever I was doing for my own students, and it worked for many of the teachers that I'm collaborating with. And then I moved on to collaborating with schools. So I design curriculum which is based on social emotional learning. This is my love. This is my this is my niche, and I see so much transformation that's happening. First of all, in the teachers that I'm training, and secondarily on the students, on their students, and that makes me so happy.
That's really great. So can you just share your journey with us, like how you arrive at this point where you know that you wanted to have your own learning school or language school, and what is a language school actually? If you can just define us that.
Yeah, yeah. So in Greece, there are lots of language schools, language centers, because of the need that there is to learn English outside the school, because the school cannot cover this need effectively. So it's not something that's rare in Greece. It's very like you can find a language school the way you can find a Starbucks coffee in other countries everywhere. So it wasn't difficult for me to get involved in this language teaching. But I started when I was 18, and it literally landed on my lap, this opportunity to teach young learners. And once I got started, I fell in love with it. And although I finished my studies on another field in university, I kept teaching, and this is my profession. This is who I am. I'm a teacher. So later on, about 6 or 7 years ago, I became an academic manager in language in summer schools in the UK. And this is where people got to know me and they got interested in what I was doing. So I started training other teachers as well. Later on, I developed my own curriculum for my own school, and it was awarded a Gold Award for Innovation in Teaching. And that's when people got more interested. What is this? So there is a curriculum, it's something concrete, something tangible, right? So people got interested, and I started collaborating with schools and developing, either they adopted my own curriculum, which is on social emotional learning and in combination with language learning, and designing curriculum for them as well. So this is it pretty much.
That is really great. As you mentioned, you started working from 18 and you started loving your work, right? And so, how was your experience like? What were the challenges that you have faced while starting your own school? And do you think it has changed over time?
It has changed immensely. And I feel so sorry for my first students, actually. I'm so different right now, and I would like to make it up for them. And now I'm actually teaching their kids, because in the same area. My school is still in the same area. And the kids I used to have as students 25 years ago, now they bring me their kids. And this is so, it touches my heart, and it makes me feel that I'm on a mission for them, not only for myself. So the challenges were initially, what's with me? That was the question. What's wrong with me? Because I would question myself and my teaching. Why can I not give this motivation to my students to be engaged in class? What's going on? What's wrong with me? And this question made me more curious to find answers. And instead of staying in that loop of I'm not a good teacher, or I'm not enough, or what I'm doing is not enough, I kept looking for answers and kept trying out different stuff. And the brilliance of the thing is that my school is my lab, so I could try out everything I could with my students. And the more I started working on myself with a coach, about 9 years ago, I would discover aspects of myself and my life that I hadn't discovered before. And then the more I was growing from within, I started using these questions that I learned from my coach. I started using these questions in my classes, and I was just teaching them English, right? It wasn't any other kind of classes. But the students got so interested in those questions, and they kept asking for more and more. And this is when I said, all right, so we have something here, which is not the explicit learning English structure, but the kids are learning English implicitly just by talking about what interests them. So this is when I started delving deeper into that idea of bringing self-awareness into class. And I saw my students' transformation. And this is the content that was awarded the Gold Award in Teaching Innovation a few years ago. So yeah, it started from my own struggle to become a different teacher, to answer your question.
That's really great. I think you just mentioned a very good point that you should be curious enough and be exploring enough to know what are the new things that you can discover. Like as you have mentioned, you are being a coach among yourself, and then you have applied same practices in your classes to make the students study in a better way. Like you have mentioned, they are communicating in English among themselves in order to know about them, right? About their goals or about their dreams, right? I think that is one of the best way to
Exactly.
educate people, by making them talk or by making them realize how it can be used to them. And I think this
Exactly.
deserves an award, and you already got it. So congratulations on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And this is the reason it works. This
Yes,
is the reason it works. It's about them. It's not about me. It's not about language learning. It's not about something outside of them.
correct. So do you think digitalization has changed the education system? And if yes, then how you are trying to add it in your schools?
What do you mean has changed? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, by digitalization, I mean by the by the content available online, right? And more
Mm,
videos or online content available. So do you think it has
okay.
compared the way school used to work previously?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, it has made my work easier, my life easier, because this aspect of exposure to the language, to the English language, is covered. So this gives me more time in my classes to delve into what's inside of them, because the language is covered like more easily. In the past, we weren't exposed to the language so much, so it was more of our own studying that helped us learn English. But now it's totally different. Like English just happens. So if I that gives me more time to go into the topics that I'm interested in and they are interested in without worrying, am I covering all the material that I should be covering to get them prepared for the exam, let's say.
Yeah, I think that's really great. You need to update yourself with the new things, and you are doing the same for yourself. So,
Yeah.
if I ask you to share any story from your life till now, like you have been educating people for a long period of time, if just one story do you like to share with us, what it will be?
A story that involves students or educators. Which one would you
You can tell
prefer?
us both. We will be happy to know both of them.
So I usually I work with educators on a one-to-one basis, and I work with young teenagers as well. And I would like to pick a story from a young teenager who came to me really stressed, and she was 16 back then. And she was really stressed about her social performance. So she had this social anxiety going on in her life, and it was constant. So her parents had taken her to the psychologist, and she had been seeing a psychologist for, I think, more than a year. And then because it wouldn't, they weren't able to help the kid out, and they decided to take her to a psychiatrist. So the psychiatrist's reaction when they saw her was that, I'm going to see you in 1 month. And if you still have this kind of anxiety, if you're still like that, where I see you right now, I'm going to put you on medication. And the kid was double stressed after that. And when the parents brought the kid to me, it was in between, like the first meeting with the psychiatrist and the second meeting with the psychiatrist. And what we did with the kid was something totally different, something she hadn't done before. And she felt instantly relieved. She instantly saw something different about herself. And after that, her concern was, what am I going to say to the psychiatrist right now? Like, how am I going to explain that I don't need medication, that I'm okay? How am I going to explain? And I said, do you really need to explain yourself? I said, no, actually, I don't need to explain anybody anything. And after that, she quit going to the psychiatrist, and she quit going to the psychologist. I don't mean that this kind of coaching can replace a psychologist or a psychiatrist job. But I mean that in this way, I showed the kid a different perspective, something totally different from what they were seeing. And then they felt so validated from the inside. They felt so nurtured from the inside that they didn't really feel this social anxiety anymore, this social pressure anymore. And after that, her life was totally different. She started making friends, like different friends. She got detached from the old friends that were making her feel this pressure. And now she's a brilliant university student, and she makes friends. She's amazing. She's super confident, and she's amazing. So this is one of the first case studies that I'm sharing that I have experienced.
That's really great, and I think you made a very good point there that sometimes we need a perspective in order to see a life, like perception that we have already created. And I think it's very important for us to discover ourselves first. And sometimes it's the way we see the life, and if it can be changed to a person rather than a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a coach. Uh, so it's like finding the right person who can help you through it.
Yeah, yeah. It's finding the right person, and it's it's the right timing, it's the right location. It's so many things that make this thing come into alignment. But when it does, it brings out the best self in the kids, and they have a totally different route after that, totally different, and the destination is totally different as well.
Right. So asking you on the same thing, like you must be having a lot of students, and you are handling a lot of students, right? And everyone is different in their own kind, right? Everyone have their own problems, or everyone have their own curve of learning. So how you try to maintain a system between all of them, or how you work in that case? Like if you know one person is different and another person is different, how you try to communicate the same thing to different persons?
Yeah, that's easy and difficult. First of all, I try to teach as many classes in my language school as possible, at least once a week. So I cannot do more than that because there are lots of groups of students. So I make sure that I follow them from when they are 7 to 17. So the same students, when they start in my school, they're about 7, and when they leave my school, they're about 17. So I follow them and see how they grow, how they respond, how they behave, what character they're building all those years, like 10 years almost, in my school. And that makes it easy and difficult. Difficult in the sense that I bear this responsibility of what's happening with this kid. And I know sometimes it's like control issues. I want to control the character, I want to control the personality, which cannot happen, of course. It's just an illusion that I can control it. And the easy part of it is that because I'm this one person in their life for 10 consecutive years, I'm this steady person in their life, makes them feel really safe and secure in this relationship in my school. And I feel safe and secure as well. And because I respect them, they respect me back. Because I care about them, they care about me. And whatever I tell them, it's like their mom telling them, but in an even better relationship because there is no attachment. So I make sure I build trust with them when they're 7. And then whatever feedback or advice I give them, they listen to me with a different set of lens. They listen to me and see what I'm saying with a different set of lens. And this is what I appreciate about what I'm doing. And this is why I don't want to quit the teaching part of what I'm doing at all. Because this is my lab. This is how I track down what's happening in their life and how they build the character, so I can help other teachers who want to help their own students.
I mean, that is really amazing that you have shared how you are trying to monitor them at an early age till they are become adults and taking care of them as a mother without any attachment. So that's a really great point that you have just mentioned with us.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and besides their parents and grandparents, I'm this person in their life that follows them for 10 years, which is amazing for me
So,
and for them, I guess.
right. I totally agree with you on this point. So if I ask you about your dream right now, I know it must be related to teaching world only and having your own schools. So if you can share that with us,
The dream I have about
the dream you want,
education.
yeah, education, or you can tell us your personal dream as well. I know it must be related
My
to your work only.
Yeah, I don't think I can separate my personal dream from my professional dream anymore. And what I'm envisioning happening in the future is that every school has one SEL coach, one social emotional learning coach. And eventually, after this dream is realized, I envision every teacher becomes an SEL coach. And what I mean by that is that every teacher should study and internalize these fundamentals of social emotional learning, which is self-awareness, self-responsibility. And if the teachers internalize those skills, those competencies in themselves, then it's very easy to implement SEL practices in any class with any group of students. And I think this is where most of the SEL programs might be struggling with, is because they target the student and not the teacher. But my programs target the teacher. And if the teacher changes, then change just follows them. Yeah.
Amazing. So if I ask you for your advice to your students or to anyone who is watching this episode, what it will be from your role or experience?
My advice would be to is instead of trying to polish themselves from the outside and investing time, money, energy on how do I look better on the outside, I think they should start investing on what's happening from the inside. So my invitation for the teachers would be to invest in that, and it's not always money involved. Like, there are resources nowadays that can make this happen. And look internally, there are books, there are so many resources online, so many videos that people can get trained and get like the fundamentals of what I'm saying. And then they will see so many differences that they will want to invest in that. So if teachers start doing this and they turn on the lights for the students to see this different perspective on themselves, then it's going to be a lot easier for everybody to start nurturing themselves from the inside and building this internal worth, which is like, if this happens, everybody is going to be so satisfied and grateful for their life and what they're experiencing.
I think that's really a nice point. Like you should know where to invest, and especially if you are investing too much in the outside, you should know where to invest from inside as well. So I think that
Yeah,
applies to each and every field rather than just teaching. It's a generic advice that you have just given us, and it can be applied in any field. I think
exactly.
not only in teaching, in any field I can imagine this thing applies. So thank you so much for sharing that insights with us.
Thank you so much as well.
So yeah, I think we are done with our question. So thank you so much, Theo, for sharing your insights. I hope it was a great experience for you as well. Hope to listen more from you in the future.
It's been a pleasure to be, and I would like to come back and share more of what I'm doing with everybody.
Thank you so much.